Ben, there are some classes of great poker players, main event champions, multiple bracelet winners, and multimillionaires. But there is one class that not even the elites in the game have joined. People who have shut Phil Hellmuth up. And today we are joined by one man in that exclusive class, Mr. Ernest Wiggins. Welcome to the Two Fish at the Table podcast, sir. How you doing?
Two Fish, thank y'all for having me here. I appreciate it.
Oh man, it's so great to have the legendary first ever loose cannon in the history of the PokerStars Big Game, involved in one of the most viral, hilarious, and memorable hands in poker television history. Thank you for joining us and to just look back on some amazing poker action over a decade ago and really to tell us about the rest of your story.
The poker world, once I got involved with that, I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you, it was almost like being reborn all over again for real. It seems like when I started to learn poker is when like the next big boom of the world was taking place, where everybody was starting to get rich and become famous. And I was like, I just need to find my little niche. And thank goodness for a couple of people who sat down and taught me the game. And I thought they got me up well enough just to make sure I didn't embarrass myself on national television.
So I guess, what was your poker origin before being on TV, before being, this viral character on YouTube for years and years? What was your poker origin story?
Oh wow! You know what? Before then, I was part of a league, the World Tavern Poker League. That's where I was doing a lot of my, practicing that. I would say it was tournament style poker. So it's not like a cash game and things like that, but it definitely gave me a lot of practice as far as sitting down, baby, to like look at people, possibly read them well, things those little tools that you need to survive in the poker game. So I've been playing with that league. I was in the league probably for like 3 or 4 years, maybe like 3 years before I got onto the big game. And before then, you talk to a person who used to be a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
Used to work in the government. And so all those things happened before the big game. So after the big game, it just, it just kind of opened up a whole nother world for me.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned in the first episode of the big game that your skill was reading people. How did that skill come about? Was that something that you had innately, or was that something you had to develop?
No, definitely something I had to develop. As a matter of fact, to be honest with you, Sam, I'm still learning every day. Okay, let's just be real. It's something that I felt it was something that I needed to learn how to do. You hear about the great ones on TV saying how they got to read and things like that. And at first I was like, man, what are they talking about? But then when I started losing money because people was reading me, I was like, hold up here. Maybe there is an art to this. So, I haven't perfected it. I haven't. I try my best to. I think I do good plays with what the skill set that I have now in regards to reading people. I think I do a pretty good job. I would probably give me like a B minus C rating average, to be honest. But it's something that I definitely feel as though like every person, if you're going to play poker, whether it's, internet or definitely live, I think that's the skill set you definitely have to have is to read a person. You have to.
So what was the process by which you actually became a loose cannon? Was there some sort of PokerStars qualifier tournament that you had to play in?
Hey man, I'll be honest with you. I think I had a better chance of getting a top secret clearance from the government. You know what I mean? Because the way it took for me to get on the PokerStars, I thought I was trying to get into the government for real. I ain't gonna lie to you. It was a pretty lengthy process. I first had to win online. That was the main thing. They had about 3 qualifiers every day. I believe those games was about like 8 to 12 hours long. So you had to become you had to be a top 10, if not win one. And from there, that's when it just exploded because you had to submit a video as to why you would be a good contestant, right? And I thought that would be it. But for me, I didn't feel as though that would be enough because I really wanted to get on television, to play these guys. So I won't lie to y'all, man. I call PokerStars like every single day. And I was like, yo, this Ernest Wiggins, you get my video yet? And after about 2 weeks, this lady, when I called it, and she said, who is this? I said, Ernest Wiggins. She said, we finally got your video. We got your video, okay? We got your video. And so when they sat down, after I guess they chose to move forward with me. But at that point, I still had to go through multiple processes of interviews. to ensure that I was a nice type of guy, things like that. Had to go through standard background credit checks, well, background checks, I should say.
Mhm.
But yeah, the interview process was pretty lengthy. I think I did about four interviews, I believe I did.
Mhm.
And then after a while, they said, "Hey, we're gonna give you green light. Come on to Vegas." And I was like, "Bet."
Awesome.
So you mentioned that you wanted to be on television. Were you a fan of poker TV, or how did you sort of get involved in the television poker sort of idea?
Oh, Sam, excellent. Hey, no, Sam, good question. Yeah, I dated this lady. I guess I had to give her a shout out. She was the one that was on television with me as well. Felicia Shern, she go by Rabbit. She's the one who actually sat down and really gave me the game. But we used to sit down like every night and we used to watch Poker After Dark. And when the poker show came on, World Series of Poker came on TV, I mean, it was like a movie night for us for real. So like get your popcorn, soda, what I mean? We just curled up and it was just poker, poker, poker. And then from there we started end up hosting poker parties at the home. And then it just started to evolve and evolve. And I've been just on a ride since then.
Awesome. So
Favorite episodes?
I was say it again.
Any favorite episodes that stand out from Poker After Dark?
Well, Benzo, I wasn't on any of them personally. But no, there was the one show I was like, I did watch Poker After Dark. It was the one, who's my, he's a great, he read Phil Ivey. Phil Ivey was playing Tom Juwan. They was at the table. And this was like probably like one of the craziest hands I've seen because these guys were betting and calling and like they had like low high cards. Like I was like, this is crazy. And Phil Ivey was about to call the river, in which he would have won off a high card, I believe. I think yeah, he really had like some real small stuff. And he had a great, he had a real good read. But I guess when you talk about Tom, Tom Juwan, if I say his name correctly, he's the master of disguises about playing these cards. So nobody want to look bad on television. Believe me, I know that.
Mhm. So let's fast forward a bit. So you got the call. You're going to be on the show. Do they explain to you the format of the show before you fly out there? And if they do, what was your preparation, knowing that was how the show was going to be played?
Oh, well, you know what? Big shout out to PokerStars because once they gave me the green light to say, all right, we want you to come, what they did was they gave me, I believe it was about $500 online. Because they sat down, they was explaining to me the concept of the game, as far as, you can't go all in on, pre-flop, they was really breaking that stuff down. And so they gave me like about $500 to play on. They like, just go online and practice, practice on your online account. I'm not gonna lie to you fellas, I blew that joint in about 5 minutes for real. It was like, oh my God, I'm about to be looking real crazy on TV. But we sat down with my poker teacher, what I mean? She just kind of explained a little bit. Even though you couldn't go all in on the pre-flop, theoretically, if you raise enough, you would have been all in.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a little slight difference with that, but but that wasn't a real major part for me. Me personally, fellas, as a poker player, I like to see a lot of flops. But I don't like to spend a lot of money seeing them though. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it's one of those things that's kind of my niche. I like to see a lot of flops. So being though, the way that these hands go and how they can be played out sometimes, sometimes it can be a little bit costly, it can be a little bit costly, but it was all right though. It was a good one.
Mm-hmm. Were you aware of the lineup of players you were going to face off against, and what were your first impressions when you heard those names for the first time?
I didn't know the entire lineup until the show. As I think back on it, like I didn't know. I had Phil Hellmuth, I had Tony G, I had Unabomber, Doyle. Like I didn't know that those were going to be like the players at my table. But what was ironic is those are all like my favorite players that I was watching on television.
Unbelievable lineup. You got like the grade A plus lineup for your table, which is good for us viewers and maybe not great for the loose cannon trying to split it up. But I know that's great. And so your nickname E-Dub, double up. So your goal was kind of informally 200,000 by the end of the 150 hands, more or less, right? So you sit down at the table. and you know, hand one starts. Are you nervous? Is your heart pumping? Are you, you know, like taking this all in? Because it's a lot of things happening at once for you.
I mean, Ben, come on, Ben. Let's be real. You know, you talk about sitting down with like the biggest poker players on the planet. True, right? On national television, okay? Whereas though you can't really afford to lose. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the deck was definitely stacked against me. Was I nervous? Hell yeah, if I can say that word without a shadow of a doubt. um, that day I just recall I drank Red Bull the entire 12 hours. That was my drink at the time. I felt like that would keep me energized so I wouldn't be lacking. I still had the energy throughout the whole game because these are pros, you know what I mean? Like it's like they old, but they don't get tired, you know what I mean? Like yeah, man. It was a bit nervous. After a few hands, I think it started to loosen up a little bit, whereas I got a little bit more comfortable. But I was still off the whole game. Let's just be honest. I wouldn't call that my best performance, but for national television against those pros, oh man, I give myself two pats on the back for real.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, you sit down at the table and Daniel Negreanu reaches over and pats you on the shoulder and immediately starts talking to you. Did you feel like he was trying to butter you up, or do you feel like he was actually trying to get to know you?
Well, I ain't gonna lie to you, Sam. I feel like he was trying to butter me up. He was trying to take me out with that. And the reason why I say that is because before we all sat down at the table, we was all backstage. And I have to say this for the record. Off, you know, when these poker players are not you know, playing on tables that are televised and things like that, when you see them on the one-on-one, they're really cool people. I didn't really expect that too much. But I did expect that because they're millionaires, you know what I mean? But sometimes when people are a little bit higher than you, you know, some people, they may look down a certain way, but I didn't get that vibe at all from none of them. Everybody felt, you know, everything was genuine. It was like they were glad I was there, you know, and to be in a room with millions of dollars now, let's just be real, fellas. I mean, I've seen a lot of money in my time, but I've never been in a room with over $1 million in it, okay? On this show, I was. And I got to give a big shout out to Doyle Brunson because he was the one that had all the money with him, you know. Doyle couldn't go broke, right? But it felt good because behind stage they was really genuine people. You know what I mean? They wasn't trying to size you up to take your money. They really was just happy for the moment, happy that you was there. And believe it or not, they was actually hoping that I won. I kind of questioned that, but okay.
Yeah, so you know, the first couple of hands, you know, you actually get some pretty good cards. You get a couple of strong aces here, and so the deck's definitely helping you out, at least from the hands that we see on the episode for the first couple of hands there. That always kind of helps get the nerves out of, I'm sure, for you. And you know, this table was split into 5 parts, kind of 30 hands each to make 5 episodes. And they were kind of broadcast one like 5 days in a row, one here, one there. And so you can kind of divide this into kind of a timeline of part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So part 1, for the most part, you're definitely kind of getting your feet on the ground. You know, you're down a bit, but you're in the mix there. Who was jumping out as you as sort of the biggest threat to your game in that first sort of few orbits?
Oh wow. Well, you know what? As a poker player, my biggest I don't want to say my threat, right? I don't want to go that hard to paint with them. But I mean, I did have some heavy hitters at the table. Yeah. But the biggest wave is definitely coming from the left, which is Daniel. Because no matter what my move is, he's coming right, you know, he's right here to my left. So he's gonna put the pressure on me by possibly raising, you know what I'm saying, things like that. So that I would say that was probably my biggest, you know, other than losing all my chips, of course. But as far as the players, as far as the position I was in, I'm going to say Daniel just because he was directly to my left. Okay. And that's kind of like the biggest thing for me as a poker player. It's a person next to me to my left because that, after I make my move, I got to worry about that person. So that's just me, though.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of times where you would limp in with a hand and then Negreanu would raise and chat you up. Did you have any desire to switch tactics and maybe start raising and be a little bit more aggressive against Daniel, or were you sort of more content to just limp?
You know what? I'm on the fence line with that one, Sam. To be honest with you, I don't like the I don't like a lot of people. I like to be like 1,000 people, right? So I was on a halfway point with that, which is why with the episode with the Kings, that we can get into later,
Yes.
that is the reason why I decided to straddle, because I was getting tired, getting bullied, to be honest with you. I felt like I was getting bullied a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was like, look, I got to make a play here. Like, someone got to switch up here because at this point, I feel myself like folding to big raises and things like that, whereas though I knew I really shouldn't have folded. And the world, my world, my friends, they really got on me after that. But I'm like, okay, well, you sit down in front of millions of people and play with money, and but with the pros, and you tell me how you feel about doing that move. So it was a lot. Like the pressure was. It was a lot of. It was some pressure. It was some pressure, just a little bit.
I mean, the big game is such a unique structure of a television program because you're playing with money that's kind of yours, but kind of not yours at first. And then once you actually turn a profit, it changes the whole mentality of, do you put this money in because you're risking it as your real money at this point? And in theory, you could, go up a big chunk of money and then just fold your way to some money. So there's this weird tug of war that no doubt every loose cannon has to face when they're playing at that table. When you're down a little bit, I guess you can kind of be a bit more, aggressive because you're trying to get over the 100,000 mark to kind of turn a profit. But in this early going, what was sort of, was there a chip count that you were like, going to flip a switch and sort of, this is the danger zone, I got to really change things up here, take a chance?
Well, I gotta say, this is where I will give a big shout out to World Tavern Poker right here, in regards to that question, because when you're playing tournament style, and this was a cash game, but when we playing tournament style, nobody likes for their chips to ever go down low. In tournament style, they start to get to this little donkey level, whereas though they start donking off chips, right? So that gave me the strength to like really not donkey off when I lose a hand. Even if I lost a hand, it's like, look, dude, you lost a hand, you lost two for real. Like, you've had less before, and I'm kind of like telling it to myself, like, you've been, you had less before, and things like that. The main thing was not to donkey off, was not to get frustrated because I lost a hand. Even when I started to feel them like putting the pressure on me as far as the races and things like that, the goal was to still just maintain composure, okay? Because at a house game or something like that, I'd be like, man, y'all was getting on my nerves, and I'd just be like, man, I'm out of here. So I got your money, I'm gone. But that wasn't the case here because we're talking like 150 hands, which was 12 hours long. So it was no getting up and leaving. It was like, look, you want to be here, strap up, be here, do the best you can, and we go, just go from there. So that's the feeling I had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned keeping your composure, and it really does seem like during the footage you're doing a good job of that. You're talking with the other players at the table. You seem very excited. How did you use table talk at the table? Or when you ask somebody a question, were you expecting them to say something, or just trying to gauge their reaction?
Trying to get a little bit of both for real. I wanted to get a feel for some players in regards to, when you're talking to them as far as the plays they can make. But theoretically, I want to talk to these people because I feel like if I felt comfortable at the table, I can move more comfortable at the table. And, so it wasn't, a lot of times I think I heard a couple of comments was like, he's asking the right questions, but he didn't, he's not looking for the read. Okay, like, well, you know what? I'm listening for an answer right now. Okay, I might not be looking, I'm listening. So it might not have been the right thing to do, but that's what I'm doing. I'm listening for his answer. Okay, and I didn't get his answer. So it was a little bit of both. It was getting a few reads on a couple of hands for sure. But overall, it was just like really to just like, I felt like it was like some bricks, like some weight on me because I was on the show. So it was like, let me just try to loosen up the table a little bit, just treat it like a home game, and we'll be good no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, there's really kind of two halves to the big game. One is the loose cannon's journey up and down at the table, and the other one is just seeing the other five pros go at it. And you had the fortune of being at one of the most entertaining cash game tables I've personally ever seen, with four of the talkiest players in the poker world: Tony G, Locke, Hellmuth, and Negreanu. When you're seeing these other guys facing off versus each other, are you just like, as a poker viewer of television, enjoying the show, or is it just kind of like you're trying to lock in on the game side of things, or are you laughing internally at this sort of drama that's happening at the table in front of you?
I mean, well, you know what? Well, the poker side is hoping that like either Tony G and Phil Hellmuth can get inside each other's head and they can mess each other money up. So now I don't have to worry about a couple more other players. You know what I mean? So It's like, I'm trying to find out like whatever ammunition I can, whatever I can use to try to help me hold on through this, through this right here. It'll work for me. I didn't watch a lot of Tony. I seen Tony G a few times with some cash games, but him and Phil Hellmuth, I didn't know like they sparked fireworks like that. Like it caught me off guard the first time when he made a comment to Phil, and Phil he just kind of looked it off. I'm not sure if they had this part on television. But then it's like as the night was going on, I'm like, oh, like he's really talking like big trash to Phil. Like he's really trying to piss Phil off right. So it's like, okay, so all right, so maybe Tony's on my side, you know what I'm saying? The Unabomber, he was believe it or not, the Unabomber, who I feel as though from the shows I watched did a lot of, he does a lot of talking. He was very sociable on this game show. Not quite the Unabomber I'm used to seeing on television. Possibly that could have been, they didn't allow him to wear his hoodie, his hoodie like he normally do because of the game show. So that might have had a transition with it. I'm not sure. But overall, he did salute me, congratulate me on a move. I think that's when I did the I think I did a pre-rate. I did some type of raising. One of those situations, he gave me, and because he gave me acknowledgement, I straddled. That's what I did. I straddled. He gave me acknowledgement. And for real, that might not mean nothing to nobody, but coming from the Unabomber, to me, it meant a lot. I just got to say that.
And then the final player at the table was Doyle Brunson. I mean, what was it like to play with him? Because he's a little bit quieter than the other guys, but he just has that presence. What was that like?
Hey, Sam be bringing up these questions, boy, I tell you. Hey, look, so quick story is the woman that I was dating at that time. She was a Doyle Brunson's fan, right? When we was behind stage, oh, I gotta get a picture with Doyle. Like sat down, all that good stuff. Before the game, okay, and this was like so crazy. Before the game, she made me promise her, right? This is crazy. She made me promise her that if I got caught up in a hand with Doyle, that I will let him go, like let him off the hook. Now, they did a lot of editing on the big game, okay? But there was a hand where I had pocket aces and Doyle Brunson had 10 deuce. And when that hand came up, we was like, nah, like, let it go. And everybody was just like, dude, what are you talking about? And it was like, trust me, though. Like, my lady's here. Like, this, I know it looks ugly. I should really capitalize, but no. I stuck to my guns. So, yeah, I'm like, no, just fold it, Doyle. You don't even want none of this. And I showed him what I had. And he was like, oh, I was about to make a mistake because he turned over 10 deuce.
Wow.
Yeah, I probably missed about that probably would have been about a good $80,000 I might have won.
But you never know with Doyle and the 10 deuce, right? I mean, he's won 2 main events with it.
Hey, you know what? You never line with that one. So that was a gamble right there. So it might have worked in my favor. The fact that I did shut that hand down early. You are right about that one, Sam.
One of the best parts of this episodes of the big game is just seeing your personality in your interviews at the table. You make a great first and second impression as sort of the audience surrogate, as the amateur at the table at the loose cannon. And is that who you are as a person in your real life? Were you pulling up for the camera a little bit, or are you E-Dub like in all parts of your life?
No, I'm E-Dub all the way. I'm a people's person. You know what I mean? I like to stay happy, energetic, as you can possibly see. Like I don't switch up from this at all. I would say I like to when I go out. I like to, people know I'm there, but I don't like to be the center of attention. You know what I mean? I like to, you just know I'm there. You know what I mean? Always try to stay positive, upbeat. That's how I've always been, but that's my new thing. I always try to instill now, like no matter what you go through, just be positive, stay upbeat. So no, I want things no faking it, no faking with the cameras at all. You probably just saw me just being nervous because my questions and communications and interaction will probably came out a little bit more smoothly. But I wasn't so nervous.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of being interviewed, what was that like? How was the process of working with production that day?
That day in particular, was great. Big shout out. I might have this in the clip. They had like the interview part of me. The interview part that they did with me before the game. Like this is Ernest Wiggins from Washington D.C. Showed it just talked about like poker. I'm here. It was real energetic. Good little promo I used. They was great. The people in the back I thought was awesome as well. Big shout out to this one lady. She was I guess she did your hair and things like that, right? And she's like, yo, like, do you need it? You need some work? And I was like, no, I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? And then I seen Daniel go get in the chair and she like, made him look like a superstar. I'm like, oh, I want that too. I want that too. Yeah. So they was really cool back behind stage. One of the things I would say with the big games, they did do a lot of edits, a few edits. So particularly in the intro, that was kind of one of my favorite parts that they didn't show. But if you ever watched the show, the movie Muhammad Ali, at the end of the movie when he was banging on the drum, the champ is here. The champ is okay. So that's how I walked into the show. Okay, to be clear, I was very loud. Everything. Only thing that was missing was the drums for real. And they had fun with that. And even afterwards, I talked to a couple of camera people and people behind stage. And they were just like sharing with their experiences and stuff like that. And I thought that was pretty cool. I don't think I want to be in the hair industry or things like that, but to see what other people do and see, how things are actually ran behind the camera. Yeah, it was actually pretty fascinating to hear those little stories I heard.
Mm-hmm. I think we should just get right to it, Sam, because the hand, possibly the most amazing, improbable, hilarious hand in poker history, you were a part of. About 60 hands, so about a little under halfway into the action at this table, you find yourself with two kings, end up in a four-way pot. So there's a decent amount of money in the middle before the flop, and at that point, Hellmuth puts out a big bet. With 3 9s, and you have kings. Was your thought process, I have kings, no matter what, I have to go for it?
Is that before flop or after the flop?
I would say even both. So pre-flop, obviously, you sort of call Hellmuth's big re-raise, maybe kind of trap him a little bit, but then two other players kind of jump in the hand. So what was going through your head at this point?
Great question. So the issue that I ran into with that pre-flop was the fact that you couldn't go all in pre-flop. So it was just like, if I did another raise, maybe I should have did another raise. That was always could have been a possibility, but I knew I couldn't go all in because my moves would have been all in at that point when Phil Hellmuth, you raised it. Like, that's normally my move right there. I can't really say if it's good or bad, but yeah, I got aces, kings, queens, and like, yeah, somebody come right in front of me and raise, I'm just going all in at that point. Maybe I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but that's so. But because we couldn't do that on the show, it was just like, okay, so I'm now still sticking with my guns a little bit here. I'm not sure if I even kicked into the overdrive far, switching my game up. But it was like, all right, I'm going to smooth call this here, and we're going to see what this flop is at this point. And I don't know how he popped out 2 9s on that flop, but god daggone it, he did. Okay, but yeah, so it wasn't really I wasn't really trying to, I want to say I wasn't, I guess I would say I was trying to trap. I apologize. I don't want to say I was trying to trap because because you couldn't raise pre-flop. My mindset was not thinking trap. But my mindset wasn't thinking 2 other 9s to come on the flop neither, just to be clear, okay?
Yeah. And then so Hellmuth puts out 17,000 into the pot, 4 ways, and you kind of I guess you kind of like do the old head roll and you see, is that acting, or are you trying to act weak when you make that raise, or what was the thought behind that?
Ben, I gotta be honest with you, Ben. Okay, the neck roll, this right here.
Yeah.
That is because, and you are the first person I've told you two, the first person I ever told this to. Okay, the neck roll was because of the fact that is the most I've ever betted in my life. Okay. So like, that is why I was like, oh man, like I'm really outside my zone right now. I'm used to betting 200, 300. Okay. Not no 20, 30, 40,000. Okay. Like, I just want to be very, so it was not really, that was the real purpose of the neck roll. Thank you for asking that. That was the purpose, because it was like, it was a big amount. You see it on TV all the time. We always see it, fellas. We seen big amounts on TV, you know what I mean? As far as, us being in the middle of the action, I was just like, whoa, I mean? I think that was probably the one hand, when people was betting 400, 1,200, 1,500, I was okay with that. But when we talking about 15,000, 20,000, 30,000, it's like, God dang, like, oh man, like it's starting to come real. So that that amount is the reason why I did roll my neck that way. Cause it was like, all right, you know what, Ernst, you about to do something you ain't never done before, dog. You about to raise this on. Like I was inside my mind, I was really gassing myself up. You know what I mean? Cause it was just like, you know what? No, not on my watch, not on my watch. And at this point, when that flop came up, when he bet to 17,000, now we're playing regular poker, fellas. Okay, so now we can do the raises and we can do everything now. Okay, the mere fact that 2 9s came on the flop is the reason why I did not go all in. Okay, that was a concern for me. Now, was I expecting somebody to have a 9? Honestly, no, I wasn't. And ace 9 on top of that, I was not expecting that at all. I got to be honest with you. Didn't see that one coming at all. But Mr. Hellmuth thought I had pocket 10s for a second. And I should have played on that a little bit more because that might have gotten him to get off that hand. But I might not have won as money as I may not have won as much money as I won.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Hellmuth stews for a little bit, then he shoves. You instantly call the all in, and you turn your hand over. And Hellmuth turns over the ace 9. What's going through your mind at that moment once you see the ace 9? Once everyone else at the table starts saying that was a slow roll?
Yeah, in my mind, I was like, "What the hell took you so long to call it?" Like, you know what I mean? Like that is exactly what was going on in my head. That was probably more controversial than anything. I ain't say it was controversial, but that was probably the most questionable thing of all the night. Was like, Phil, like the TV show didn't really show a lot of that because of cuts and edits, right? So some minutes were shaved off of that. But gentlemen, Mr. Phil Hellmuth took a very long time with that, okay? And we was like, why would you take your time with that? And you got 3 9s. He was like, well, I thought he had pocket 10. And so yeah, that was a moment in itself for real, because while I seen very quick on television that we turned our hands over in the moment, no, it wasn't that fast. It was like even Daniel was like, oh, what you gonna do? Like time ticking, man. So yeah. Little crazy moment there, but I loved it though. It was good energy.
Well, in between the flop and the all in, you make one of the most quotable lines in poker history. If I had aces or kings, I'd be the man right now, wouldn't I? When asked you if aces or kings, that was just hilarious. So obviously, in your head, you're thinking aces or kings is the absolute best hand right now, and that's why you would say that to Hellmuth, right?
You know what? I'm not. I think the comment was like, if I have aces or kings, I would be pissed right now. It was like that.
I'd be.
I think I'd be pissed, or I'd be the man right now, something like that, right?
Yeah.
I know it's one of those, right? Because I watch it like all the time, right?
Yeah.
So the goal was to try not to signify I had kings, right? That was, of course, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like instantly trying to play it off. Once I kind of got a whiff, but it probably was a little bit too late to make a decision then. But I kind of got a whiff somewhere down the line that like he got a 9 for real, but he think I got him beat, which means he must think I had pocket 10s. Like there was a very small window where those like, oh, he think I got him beat for real. You know what I mean? But I don't think I had like enough evidence forward on it, right? So, it played out the way that it did play out. So when he decided that he wanted to run it like 4 times, which was like I've never heard of that before ever. I'm like, I'm learning so much new stuff on the PokerStars Big Game. But yeah, they when he said 2 times, I was okay. 3 times, he was like, sure. But he was like, yo, let's run it 4 times. So at this point now, I'll be honest with you, because I'm all in. Okay. My goal is to make money. I'm about to lose everything right now. I just need something to stay on the table.
Right.
Okay. So it was like, sure, let's run it 4 times. You know what I mean? Like that's probably like about what, 20,000, 30,000. But you know what? I'll take it right now. Just so I can try to, do what I can do. So that was the reason why I decided, I rolled it 4 times. I was like, cool, hey, let's do it. Like, cool.
Yeah, so the pot was $200,000 because you had about 80-something thousand pre-flop. Yeah. There's a couple other players with money in the middle pre-flop. So each quarter of the pot was about 50,000. So really, even just winning 1 run means you're 1 double away from being back to even. And
Yeah. I like the way you think. I like the way Ben think.
And with still over half the hands to be played, so plenty of time to find a spot and make it happen. So the first run comes out, and Hellmuth takes it down, but it's actually a pretty good run out for you. One of his aces gets burned, so that takes out 2 bad cards from the deck. So you lose the first one. What's your thought process? You just want, I'll just take one. Let's do it. I got, 20% probably at this point to win one of them.
Well, you know what? I was running the numbers, right? I'm running my outs, but I'll be honest with you, man. I'm in the middle of the war now. Just keep in mind now. Yeah. My mentality is only thinking the king. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I'm thinking kings over nines at this point. Okay, yeah. That's the only thing I'm thinking of. But then they just started to run out. It was like, oh man, I got spades popping up here. Like, oh, I got straight drawers popping out here. Like, so it was like, so each time it kept going. I was like, yo, like. You really should have seen Phil Hellmuth. Like his energy was just like deflating like a flat tire. Like, and I was shocked too, for real. But yeah, like so as the second run came out, and I think I got the second one. When the third one came out, it was like, oh man, like this is crazy. Cause like now I'm about to get a straight or flush. Like I was like getting real happy. And I think at one point, Phil Hellmuth did not want to talk to me, y'all. I walked over to him, okay, and we had like a quick laugh. And his reaction was just like, man, I don't want to talk no more. Like, he didn't say it, but it was like, walk away. I don't want to talk no more, okay? Because this is not looking good. So, but yeah, but then I started counting those outs, and it's like, I never, in a million years, I would have never expected the king to come on the last run. Or the second run, I was okay with. I was like, okay, I was expecting the king at least the second or the third. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta give me one king off of that. Come on now. But to get the whole 3 out the 4. Shoot, I ain't seen that again. I haven't ran that one again, fellas. That might have been a one and done for me.
But of all the times where you have to go 3 out of 4, this has to be the biggest one, right?
Yeah, the biggest one, the best one. I find myself now, like as I go to cash games, because I do go to cash games, things like that. When we do have the all-in moments, they always want to, let's run it 3 times. Let's run it 4 times. Well, you know what? Depending on what's going down, I'm going to decide if it's going to be 2, 3, or 4 for real. And for the most part, honestly, I'm not messing around because I don't want nobody to suck out on me like I sucked out on Phil. So I normally just do it like twice and that's it. You know what I mean? Like you get it, you got it. If we split it, we split it.
I mean, the fun thing is that the whole table is on your side. I mean, they're already kind of anti-Phil anyway, but then add in the slow roll, add in that it's the loose cannon, and that it's just so unlikely to begin with. The whole table cheers. Hellmuth is like in this hilarious pose in his chair. He looks like he's gonna like collapse from a heart attack in the chair. It adds up to one of the most memorable poker scenes in poker history.
I sit, we sit back and we laugh for it, right? I mean, I can laugh for it now, right? But I have to be honest with you. I am not going to act like I've never been in his shoes before. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily running 4 times, but just on the part of like the cards are just not going your way. That it's like, oh wow, like how much more can I really lose? You know what I mean? Like, I know that feeling, so I try to be easy on him, but I won't lie to you, fellas. The way he hurt my feelings at the game, it was like, you know what? You sit over there, sir, and you soak in all of that right now. Because you made me walk away from you when you didn't want to talk to me. So you sit down there, like you go to your corner and sit down, Phil. But it was cool though. But even after the show though, it was just a moment too. I really feel like it was a moment because after the show, he did give me his hat. Little PH, little PH to Phil joint, like, you know what I'm saying? And most people look at this kind of weird, but I find it to be very, I feel very honored. Like if a star celebrity takes off like some gear that they have and they hand it to you, like I find that to be very prestige for real versus buying their hat from out of a store. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when he did that, I felt a little bit like, okay, I earned some stripes in here today. Mm-hmm. As I felt.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you are with 150K. You've just won this crazy hand. What's going through your mind as you're sitting back down at the table and you're ready to keep going?
Man, you know what? For some strange, odd reason, in my poker professional opinion, I felt as though when we first started that game, as Ben stated, I was on a roll with the cards, okay? After that hand, Sam, I feel as though I went card dead. I was just downhill at that point. Even the table was like, look, you ain't gonna play no more hands. You're gonna just take the money and run. I'm like, dude, I'm getting deuce 7, 9, 3. Like, I'm not playing that against y'all. That's not happening. And I'm not sure if y'all saw the hand. I did get in one hand. I believe it was after the Kings with Daniel Negreanu.
The Jack 9 hand?
Yeah, Jack 9, I believe I had.
Yeah, you flop 2 pair. and you won a pretty good pot. That was probably the biggest pot you won from the rest of the table onward, which, again, you managed to. I thought you almost talked your way out of losing the hand, because when the runner reached for a bet on the river, you kind of went like, man, come on, man, you don't need to do that. And I thought that could have been a turning point. You might have bet big and you might have folded the best hand, but to your credit, you managed to check and you took that one down.
Hey, you know what? It's so funny you say that, Ben, but I gotta be honest with you. On that hand, even Doyle made he made a comment to say, he told Daniel, he said, you know what? I think you would have made one more bet. And I want to be very clear here. If Daniel would have made any bet than what he would have made, he would have been down that amount of money as well. I don't fold Jack 9 for nothing. Like, I was sitting here like, I'm listening to y'all and y'all the big dogs, but I'm like, if he thinking I'm about to fold Jack 9 and I just flop this top 2, he got the game twisted right now. So when I made that comment, it was I thought that mentally I would say that and he would do like some stupid over bet. You know what I mean? I was really banking on that. That was me. I guess that's me.
It fooled me even.
Yeah, but I guess I was like so wrong with that. It didn't work the way I wanted to. But the Jack 9, to be clear, I was not going to fold no matter what. I was calling any bet that he put out there. I was trying to look weak so he can go hard with it, but it didn't work.
So as you're going forward into episode 4, are you keeping in mind, I have to make a profit here? Have you sort of checked off in your head, like, I've made money, therefore I'm going to play a little bit tighter? Or are you sort of still trying to look to mix it up as the clock is ticking on that night?
Oh, no. The goal is still to make money. And let me tell you why. There is still a number I had to reach. Okay. I had to reach, I believe it was like 66,000. Okay. That is the number that I had to get to qualify. So no, the goal is to still keep going. But again, a lot of you know, when I say I went card dead, I went card dead after that, right? You know what I mean? Like, it was, I don't know, it's just the way poker moves. But I wasn't never, it was like, I knew I wasn't playing a lot of hands, but I felt as though we're playing the big game here. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to play every hand. It just, when you play the hand, you just got to capitalize on it. You know what I mean? So that was like my mentality towards going into that. So it wasn't about leaning back, sitting back, you got money now. Nah, not at all. The goal was still to get more than 66.
What was the 66 related to?
Okay, so the 66 is because I'm not sure if you saw the loose cannon Nadia. Okay, so she actually played before I did.
Oh, actually, I thought that was my top theory when you said that, because you were shown as if you were the first cannon. I guess they wanted to show this great table to draw in the audience as season 1 began. But so you were not the first. Were you the second one? Were you, or what order were you in the loose cannons that season?
Great question. So the day that my performance was there, she had just finished. I believe she had a whole totally different setup line. So I saw her. Let me see, me, her. I believe it was like about 4 of us, about four loose cannons there that day.
Okay.
Because they always want to. I know the guy said we always had to have one on standby just in case somebody loses.
Yeah.
Right. So it was definitely 4 of us. Unfortunately, I think I met a guy from I forgot his name though, but he's from Alabama, and another guy from Philly. So shout out to them. They were some loose cannons behind stage. But yeah, they had to have a few of us there. And Nadia was, she was on fire. Her piece of advice to me was to just play your game. Just play your game. I think that's easily said than done when you're playing pros in front of like a world of people for real. Yeah. But that was her piece of advice that she gave to me. But I knew I had to clear her in order to move forward. I had to clear her amount. So I just couldn't get past it.
Gotcha. And after the King's hand you had of Hellmuth, there was a conversation between Tony G and Hellmuth about Hellmuth saying, "I wish I weren't a bad loser, but it's 10 times worse to be a bad winner." When Hellmuth goes into one of those rants, do you agree with him? Do you think that Tony G was a little out of line, or what was your take on that whole situation there?
Man, I love it, man. Anytime one player takes another player mentally out the game, I'm all for it. Okay, I don't feel like it was everybody in the video. I felt like it was like 5 players against me in the first place. Okay, so the mere fact that 2 of them are going at it makes me feel a little bit more better. I don't, during the time frame being on the show, I didn't find Tony G. I didn't find him to be too much out of pocket, but I think when he started getting the feel and then feel like his little comment back, it just kind of shook things up a little bit. But I didn't allow that to affect me. Like I knew like that was them for real. That was totally them. I honestly had to worry about Daniel here. Like fellas, y'all played poker before. This to the left right here was not, tell Beyonce to the left. Yeah, tell Beyonce that to the left song was true because with Daniel being to my left, I found that to be that was a pretty hard position to be in for me personally. Being as though, he's the poker kid and all that stuff, got the reads, the championship. It was just a bad spot. So to stay focused, let Tony G and them talk their talk. I can't really say I agree with Tony G or Phil Hellmuth in regards to their wordings. Some of the times I was listening to them, and then some of the times I wasn't, because it was like, Ernest, get your head together here. You're on TV, like leave them alone, right? Don't even focus on them.
Mm-hmm. So putting aside the talk for a moment, as you're sitting there at the table and you're not involved in a hand, you're kind of watching the action. You're trying to learn from these other players.
Yeah, one of the things I did was I was watching Tony G and I watched Phil Hellmuth on like 3 hands, right? Mm-hmm. And then the thing I had with Daniel, was just like at one point I just felt like he was just raising because I was just calling. Like it was like he was just doing that purposely. So it was like, okay, I got that all day long. Okay. Doyle, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't concerned about Doyle at all. So when I was talking to Doyle, it was really to confirm the information that I knew about already. The championship, the tournaments, get pieces of advice from him and stuff like that. With the Unabomber, honestly speaking, I learned I would say I learned the hand. He did one of his little moves. It's like, what? I like that move for real. No, I'm gonna try that next time. So I felt like I got like a little bit of information from him. Tony G, other than him talking to Phil, I ain't getting nothing from Tony. He was just cool dude. He was like, hey, how you doing? Like that was it. He didn't have no real lengthy conversation. So, the reads, I would say I got 2 of the reads I definitely got for the night. I would definitely say I got the reads. My Jack 9 hand was definitely for sure. Because the fact that I knew that it was no way that his hand was going to be the Jack. I knew that for a fact. That's why I stuck my guns. But there's a couple of hands, Sam, whereas though I knew I had that Ace Jack, and I knew I should have called that to see the next card. I knew it, but guess what? They bet 2,100. They can have it.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Doesn't matter what the stakes are. So, one of the other elements of the show is there's 2 commentators kind of narrating the show as it goes on. And for the most part, they're a little critical of you because they think that you're not aggressive enough. When you're watching yourself on TV like this, do you agree with them? Do you feel like, man, I'm having fun, but let me have fun? Or, do you learn not to take things personally? They're just trying to make a TV show about it.
Well, in life, you learn from your mistakes, right? And that's one that I definitely learned from. Could have been positions of me being more aggressive. Oh, for sure. Have I done it before? Yeah, I have. Have I been in a position where though you lose, you get nothing? Well, no, I haven't been in that type of position before. So yeah, when I walked, I made sure that when I walked on those eggshells, I made sure those eggs didn't crack at all. It was, you can definitely see that in my play. But I think that if people want to win. People come to win. Nobody likes to lose. Okay. If I would allow my happiness of emotions to like really take over, just the fact like, oh, I'm on the show, like then I wouldn't have cared if I would have lost. But no, I cared if I would have lost. Okay, so like so it was one of those things where those like I heard the commentators and they were they made some great respectful comments, and I had to agree with them. Even some of my friends, when I came back home, they were like, dude, like, why are you up that joint playing like what you talking about, man? Like,
you can swear. It's really cool. You're okay to swear.
Swear.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So they were like, why you acting like that? I'm like, look, man, I was just nervous. Okay, I got $100 grand in front of me. I can't lose that $100 grand. If I do lose it, I can't buy back in. I felt like I had to make every step correctly, and some steps would not be the correct move, but I knew it'd be the righteous thing to play another hand. So those are decisions that I made. I've seen some decisions that some other players made as well. Some of them paid out and some of them didn't play out. You know what I mean? So I want to ensure that every move that I did, I want to make sure that I was at the end of the 150 hands. Okay, see, because at the end of the 150 hands, if of course, if y'all wasn't aware, at the end of the 150 hands, if the candidate had 100,000 or more, he had the option of coming back,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And I thought about doing that. Okay, I did. But I won't lie to you. 12 hours at a poker table with the pros is like being like 6 rounds in the ring with Mike Tyson. Like, for real, you don't want to kind of do that like every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even though I knew I still had to make about really like 20K more, I knew I did. I need 20K more to go a little bit further. But you know what? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this 50K and I'm gonna make the best out of it.
Was there a number that you definitely would have come back for a second round? Like if you were at like $102,000, would you have said, okay, I'm back in for another round?
Yeah, definitely. Anything over 100K, I would say that was probably like less than like between 115, maybe 120. You know what I mean? Somewhere like right around there, I definitely would have had to come back and play again for sure.
Mm.
Okay. That just wasn't gonna cut it. I think me personally, when I saw the 150, I was like, oh man, 50K, like 50K in one day. Okay, well, my last job, I didn't even make this a year. Okay, I think we'll be all right. Okay. Like,
So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I make less than 50K a year, so I would have made the same decision. But good choice.
Would you have been satisfied with if you had, the NAPT passport, they touted it as being worth $50,000. Was that how much of that was really weighing on your mind towards the end, or was that just more of a bonus if I do well and I'll just play for the money?
No, that was the whole, like I said, I needed to make that 60, I needed to clear that 60-some thousand. That was for that package.
Yeah.
It was for that. So at the end, it was like, if I made a move in the last, 40, 50, 60 hands, 70 hands that I had, I felt like, yeah, if I would have made a bad move trying to reach to that money mark, I felt like I would have lost what I had.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was like one of those things where I was happy that I won. I was happy that I finished this. I was happy that I finished the show on a positive side, right?
Yes.
But as equally, I wasn't as happy because of the fact that I knew that my goal from the jump street was to clear, for that package. So like it was kind of like a little disappointment, a little letdown for myself, but as equally, it's like, yeah, dude, but you just won. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things with it balanced out.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. So at the end of the episode, you win 50K, you get Hellmuth's hat, big celebration for you. What happens after that?
Oh man. So what happens after that? Saying you go home and everybody think that you're a star when you're not. Okay. I come home, the show hasn't aired yet. Everybody's like a little bit happy. They see the show about to come on now. Everybody's happy that they know me. I found myself for about close to a good year, fellas. I found myself not having to pay for no meals. Like, yeah. I go out, I get free food, free drinks. Like, yo, that's the cannon from TV. Like, yo, let them in. Like, yeah, cool. So it was a good feeling, you know what I mean? But then here comes the dark road when the media starts just dissecting you, and they start dissecting these plays. And so then now my emails start going from, hey, Ernest, congratulations. They're like, yo, you saw your shit, why you didn't do that? I'm like, yeah, like I don't know you. Like, who are you? You know what I mean? I found myself people. I went to Vegas a few times, and I found people in Vegas when I sit down and play. They were like, "Yo, you're the loose cannon from Phil Hellmuth." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me." And now all of a sudden, all the table wants to like whoop me at the table now. You know what I mean? Like the whole table's coming for me now. It was like, come on, y'all. Like, what are y'all doing, man? Like, I come in peace. You know what I mean? So it's definitely been a roller coaster ride from coming off the show. I still love it even to this day. Some people have never seen the show. They're just like, yo, like I just saw you for the first time. Like for real, I'm broke. I'm just letting you know I'm broke now. Don't ask me for nothing I don't got no more of that money. So some people just sing for the first time, they're enjoying it. And for those that did enjoy it, that was supportive, you know, man, they always glad to see me circle back around on social media when it pops back up and things like that. But yeah, it was a roller coaster ride for real. And you come off that show, everybody love you, then all of a sudden nobody likes you. It's rough. And then for the record, and I gotta say this to both of y'all, I also met cousins. Well, I ain't never meet them, but I found out I have cousins I've never met before because now they saw me on television. Now they ask me to pay their rent. I'm like, yeah, I don't know you. Yeah, like, who are you? You know what I mean?
Kind of like people think you won the lottery, but really, 50K is not winning the, multi-million lottery.
Nah, 50K is a great number, ladies and gentlemen. I say ladies and gentlemen for the people that's watching. Yes. 50K is for those who are going to be watching. 50K is a great number. But I'll be honest with you, when you have fun, you got to realize that 50K does go down. It doesn't just stay there. So like I had to realize that, but I did take my winnings and I transferred it to, what I do, to the work that I do now. So I made it work for me.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of your poker experiences in the years since the big game, how have those been?
The poker skills,
yeah.
I think the poker skills, they're getting better. You know what I mean? I feel like you win some, you gain some knowledge here, you lose some things here, you grow here and you grow there, you lose this. Overall, I think I do well. I'm not going to say my game has gotten greater, has gotten better. I would still say, as I always been saying, which is true, I win more than I lose. And I don't lose that often, you know what I mean? But winning is not, they always say it's not how you win, it's how you play the game. You kind of going through that. So like I'm using that philosophy now because the fact that, me personally, fellas, I won 50,000 in one day. Okay. That is my mark. That's my goal to exceed in poker. Okay. Whether it's whether it takes one day or 1 week, I want to get past 50,000, per tournament. So like the bar is set kind of, I won't say it's set kind of high, but the bar is set for me. I set my own bar when I came off the show. Mm-hmm. So when I go to poker, casinos or things like that, and if I, to win $1 or $2 is great. You know what I mean? It's okay. I'm always happy to win, things like that, but it's not the bar. You know what I mean? So until I reach my bar, I don't seem going to be too, I did it. Yeah. Like I got to get past that point again.
Have you ever, or do you see yourself ever playing in the main event at some point in time?
Yeah, as soon as Ben give me 10K so I can go ahead and drop my registration on it. I definitely like to. So one of the reasons why I play in the World Tavern League, if I want to talk to them, because they getting too much pub from off me. But one of the things they do have, they have a tournament. It's called the Tournament Champions that they have like twice a year. And so when you qualify for that, it does allow you to play in Vegas for a 10K seat in the World Series of Poker. Okay, now fellas, this is the longest road to get to that table. I'm going to tell you now, this is not the short route. It is the longest route, but it is 10K at the end if you can get through everything. Okay, so that's how I get my practice on in regards to tournament style. And then with cash games, just go with friends' houses and things like that. I try to the big cash games I do go to. I don't go to them as regularly because they got people that just call you just because they ain't got nothing in their hand. Like, I'm going to call you because you're Ernest. And like, they don't be having no hand, like no nothing. It'd be like, you just trying to just humiliate me, right? Like, oh my goodness. But I have a good time with that because I do learn a lot in regards to like, it's easy to call raises. Like when somebody bet me $40 or $50 now, at a 1-2 table, like I lie to you not, fellas, I'm very comfortable calling the raise now. Even without looking at my hand for real, because now I'm looking around, it's like, oh, now you're trying to distill the pot now. Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna call this 50. I'm not gonna look at my hand. And you better hope that my cards don't connect for real. You know what I mean? Like, it's little things like that I do. That makes the table be like, okay, let's not mess with them too much. So like, yeah, I'm gonna jump out. I will jump out there just to make a point. Like, I don't like this. I like to play poker. You're not gonna bully me. I already had professionals bully me. You're not gonna do it.
Do you still talk to anyone you played with at the big game, and have you run into any other famous poker players over the years?
Over the years, I have not. And I have not even spoken with them other than I spoke with Doyle, and I also spoke with Phil just through Messenger, like through what's that, Messenger, one of them little apps. And that was like some years back. So consistent, regular consistent communication. No, I don't. When I hear Phil Hellmuth was at the MGM Casino, which is out near my way, then I make my way out there in hopes of seeing them. You know what I mean? But I'm Ernest Wiggins. I'm just Ernest Wiggins now. I'm not the loose cannon no more. So like, I don't have that preferable treatment that'll get me through like the little security areas no more. I gotta stand outside like everybody else now.
Who is your favorite poker player?
My feared?
Your favorite?
My favorite. I mean, well, Ben. I mean, the whole table was like. I mean, that was my movie nights, my TV nights.
The fantasy draft.
Yeah, it was always Daniel Doyle. You know, saying the Unabomber. You know, Phil Hellmuth. Like those were it right there. You know, like Tony. Like I would say the only person that I didn't like really follow a whole lot on television was Tony G. Other than that, the rest of those players at the table, like every night they was on TV, I'm watching them. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to say who the favorite is. Right. You know what I mean?
It's that cluster there, I understand.
Yeah. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Do you still watch any poker television shows today?
Yes. So when I do have some time, it's the World Poker Tour that comes on my television, right? So I sit down, I may watch a little bit of that while I go through my emails and things like that. I see there's new players out there. New players have a little bit new styles a little bit. So like I am watching that to see like how can I see the survive the little new tactics of their strategies now. So I'm looking at that a little carefully to try to study that more. Could I watch it more? Yeah, but I do watch it and I still read my Super Systems book by Doyle.
Has Texas Hold'em always been your game of choice, or do you dabble in other games sometimes as well?
Yeah, I dabble every now and then. Pot Limit Omaha, they may play that. Like if I go to a house game, let's play some Omaha. So you know we'll play a few rounds of that. But Five Card Stud, I played a little bit of. Not really my game for it. It doesn't excite me like Texas Hold'em do. Omaha. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you, I like Omaha. Yeah, Omaha, like it's kind of cool, you know. But I would say the main ingredient would definitely be Texas Hold'em. I'm just not sure if it's tournament style or if it's the cash game style that I like the most.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So in the future, you know, let's just say the next 5 years, are you going to plan to play more poker, or are you sort of happy with your level of engagement now?
Oh no, I'm definitely still playing poker. I would like to play a little bit more. I started doing my own business now, which is probably why a lot of people see me in poker games or poker tables, but they don't see me there as often as they used to. When I first came off the game show, even for the first, I would say 5-6 years, it was like Atlantic City. It was a casino, Atlantic City, the casino. I think that's the reason why I was single. But nonetheless, I found myself like going there, just really constantly just trying to stay afloat. Talking to these, I won't call them amateur pros because they on the circuit. They're going around to casinos, talking to them, about as far as like, look, go here, go there, bankroll strategies and things like that. So like it really geared me to like, to stay into it. Like now, but see now I'm hungry now. So like now, like what I do is I go through my Bravo app, okay? And if my Bravo app says that there was like 50K guaranteed, at Philadelphia casino, or if the bad beat is like 350,000, then I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna take a ride up there and just play up there for some hours. I am. Tournament styles, I would say yes. I definitely like to play some more tournaments. I haven't played any big tournaments, honestly, in a while. It's just been really like cash. But the tournaments is definitely, I feel like that's gonna be like where I keep my crown at. Cause you gotta wear a big tournament, to really get like, really respected. People, they like me, they respect me, from the show and all that. But it's not like winning a tournament. I think y'all know about that though.
Doyle Brunson has a hand named after him, the 10 deuce. If there was going to be a hand named after you, what hand would it be?
It'd be Jack 9. It's been Jack 9 since before even the big game. Once I got the fundamentals of poker down, Jack 9, it just stuck out to me, and that's been my hand all day long. Don't let it be suited. I'm gonna raise it like it's aces for real. I ain't gonna lie. I like Jack 9.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. So let's say that somebody was going to go on a show like the Big Game. What advice would you give them if they're going to go up against 5 great poker players?
It's like that's a good one. I ain't gonna lie to you, Sam. That's a good one because you get somebody the best advice for real. But when those cameras come on, man, and it's just like wow, try to maintain your composure for real. You know what I mean? Like, don't allow the cameras to throw your game off. Don't allow the pros to throw your game off. If you play poker, I'll be letting them know if they played poker before, then you sat at the table where people was talking trash to you before. You know what I mean? So you didn't allow that to affect you then. So you don't allow them to affect you. You just don't that stardom that they have and those cameras, man, like that can really, I think that can really simmer a person down a little bit, because you're thinking about what if you make a mistake. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's gonna see it. And once, if I can tell somebody to just try to move that part from out their head, while they're on the show, they can just erase that part of it and just focus on just how you play your game normally. If you normally talk trash and raise, then talk trash and raise. You know what I mean? That's what you do. Don't do something different that you normally don't do. That would be my advice.
Mm-hmm. Is there anyone or anything you want to plug in this podcast, as far as anything you're a part of, or any special folks you want to shout out for?
Hey, well, shout out to me, okay? All right, and shout out to you, Ben. Shout out to you, Sam. Okay, yeah, I do. I would like to give a shout out. So now that I move forward, what I did with my winnings is I started a shea butter company. Okay. So we sell scented whip shea butter, botanical oils and body scrubs. Been doing it for like 10 years right now. And pretty much my winnings that I won from off the game show, I pretty much do that pretty yearly with my company now. So that's how I take my winnings and put something positive in it. So, if anybody that likes shea butter, botanical oils, or body scrubs, things like that, they can always look up me on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok at Butterman202.
Or E-Dub Scrub.
E-Dub Scrub. I like that too. Hey. But I have a question for y'all though. Y'all been talking to a lot of loose cannons, right?
So we've interviewed a couple of our favorite poker players on our last few podcasts. We interviewed, I don't know if you recall, John Hesp, the 4th place finisher in the main event 5 years ago. We had Iverson Snuffer, the Poker Heisenberg. We had Michael Nowitzki, who had 2 different deep runs in the main event, and then our old-time friend Adam Grosek, who's a longtime bridge and poker player. So players from different backgrounds of different levels of poker success.
Yeah, that sounds hot right there. I like that right there. So and let me ask you, look, because y'all asked me who my favorite poker player is. So my question is for y'all, who is y'all favorite poker player?
It's actually Phil Hellmuth, ironically. And your hand with him was the one time I was okay with him losing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So what about you, Sam?
My favorite poker player is Jamie Gold, who won the main event in 2006, just because of how entertaining that was. I mean, that last hand where he's with the 2nd place finisher and just like talking back and forth at him, that's just hilarious to me.
Oh, yeah, there we go. I remember him. I remember one time. Well, I saw one of his episodes. When he trapped somebody. I trapped you. That's what I did. I was like, oh man, Jamie's going off right now. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? Jamie Gold is all right. Yeah, because he does. You know what? They give him a lot of. They do give him a lot of hassle for real. And it's like, you know what? I was like, you know what? I'm glad he won for real. And me and my lady said at the time, because it's like when he came through, it just felt like everybody was just on him. If it wasn't for how he won, it's for how he played. It's like he never did just get any true. I feel like they're just beating him up. So shout out to Jamie Gold. So that's why I want to give a shout out to today too.
Awesome. So Ernest, it's been unbelievable talking with you for this past hour plus. It's great that you remember your time in the big game so well. It really makes everything feel that much more impressive to reflect on. And you brought millions of people on YouTube alone just so much entertainment and joy from watching you do your thing at the table.
Hey man, you know what? Thank y'all for having me on here to talk about it for real. Because you know what? It was a great moment. I was surprised I even remembered all of that myself for real. So thank you all for helping me remember.
Yeah, thank you for coming by. This was such a pleasure. And I mean, yeah, Ben's right. I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of views, if not millions of views on YouTube and on Reddit, Facebook. I mean, you're everywhere. The legend of E-Dub should continue.
Hey, I'm going to agree with you on that one. Thank you for that one. We're going to push for that one, Sam.
And again, we always said in every episode, if you have ever been on poker television and you want to talk to us about your time on the big screen, about your big hands against top pros or total amateurs, let us know. We want to hear from you guys, and we look forward to talking to you about more poker going forward on the Two Fish at the Table Poker podcast. I've been Legend Veteran on PokerStars.
I'm East Coast Sam, also on PokerStars.
And we'll say, enjoy your poker, enjoy your TV, and enjoy your TV on your poker on TV.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, y'all.